Blake Lively thinks she's holding the perfect hand in court. She's right in the middle of discovery, filing motions left and right, and to anyone watching, it looks like she's dominating. Judges keep granting her requests, fueling the illusion that victory is near. But here's the shocking truth. It's all a setup. Judges, especially in cases involving harassment, discrimination, or potential victims, don't want to appear biased. They'll often allow plaintiffs like Blake to collect evidence freely, giving the appearance of progress. Yet, granting discovery doesn't guarantee victory. The real question is, can her case survive the ultimate test, a motion to dismiss, a summary judgment, or even a full-blown jury trial? Blake believes she's bringing the perfect case forward, alleging harassment, retaliation, and a deliberate smear campaign designed to destroy her reputation. What she didn't expect: Jed Wallace. Jed and his razor-sharp legal team aren't just defending him, they are systematically dismantling her entire lawsuit, piece by piece. Their approach isn't flashy, it's cold, calculated, and brutally effective. In this video, we'll uncover how Wallace is tearing down Blake's claims, why her reliance on California law is a catastrophic mistake in a New York courtroom, and how even her own sworn testimony may undermine everything she's fighting for. Stick around, because the fatal flaw in Blake Lively's lawsuit is about to be exposed. Blake's entire allegation against Jed Wallace centers around one dramatic claim. She insists that Wallace and others launched a full-scale retaliation campaign, her exact phrase, to destroy her. According to her, this campaign involved spreading damaging stories portraying her as rude and difficult to work with, tone-deaf in her film's marketing, and insensitive to domestic violence issues surrounding her project's promotion. Blake argues that this wasn't just ordinary criticism. No, she claims it was a deliberate act of sabotage, carefully engineered to bury her reputation and silence her before she could ever publicly accuse Justin Baldwin of harassment. Her theory? That Wallace and his co-defendants plotted to destroy her credibility in advance, ensuring that when she finally spoke out, no one would believe her. Dramatic? Absolutely. But here's the problem, and it's a fatal one. Retaliation laws aren't built on what-ifs or hypothetical future scenarios. They require actual, concrete actions that result in real adverse employment consequences. And this is where Blake's case starts to crumble. Wallace's legal team pounced on this weakness. In their brief, they emphasized that Blake never showed any adverse employment action. Instead, everything she's claiming flows solely from reputational harm. Then came the killing blow. New York law considers claims sounding in tort to be defamation claims, where those claims seek damages for injury to reputation, or where the entire injury complained of by the plaintiff flows from the effect on her reputation. According to Wallace's lawyers, Blake's case isn't really about retaliation at all. She's calling it retaliation, but legally, it's defamation in disguise. And that distinction changes everything. Why? Because under defamation law, the rules are much stricter. A shorter statute of limitations, the need to identify exact false statements, and for a public figure like Blake, the near impossible challenge of proving actual malice. And here's where it gets worse for Blake. Wallace's team is mocking her response as hardly a response at all. In her 31-page brief, she devoted only 2 paragraphs to addressing this defamation issue. Their chilling warning to the judge: that silence will speak volumes. This isn't just clever lawyering, it's a calculated strike, exposing a fatal flaw that could collapse her entire lawsuit before it ever reaches trial. But Wallace's attack doesn't stop there. Blake made another catastrophic mistake, one that may doom her case entirely. And it all has to do with California law. Blake's second major claim hinges on California's Fair Employment and Housing Act, FEA. She's attempting to use this law as the foundation of her retaliation case. There's just one massive problem. FEA doesn't apply outside of California. California courts have made this crystal clear, repeatedly. If the plaintiff isn't a California resident, didn't work in California, and the alleged misconduct didn't take place in California, the FEA simply does not apply. Period. And here's the devastating twist. Blake herself admitted that the harassment she's complaining about happened in New Jersey, and then she filed her lawsuit in New York. Despite this, she's now trying to drag California law into a New York courtroom. Wallace's lawyers pounced immediately. They told the judge, Lively's own admission that the FEA does not apply to non-residents employed outside California when the alleged conduct did not occur in California is fatal to her case. If the FEA claim collapses, it doesn't just take down her case against Wallace. It destroys her entire legal framework and impacts every defendant, including the bigger players like Wayfair. They drove the point home with this devastating line. Here, Lively alleges no tortious conduct that occurred in California and instead plainly bases her claims against the Wallace defendants on alleged New York-based acts. This means Blake has been using the wrong law in the wrong state, and it's about to blow up in her face. So why would she make such a dangerous legal move? The answer? Forum shopping. Blake chose New York strategically, knowing California laws would require her to notify other parties before issuing subpoenas. In New York, however, she could secretly subpoena evidence, like when she obtained Jen Abel's phone records without notifying Wayfair or anyone else. In California, this evidence grab never would have been allowed. Wallace's team calls this what it is: manipulation of the system. And now, that very strategy is backfiring, creating fatal cracks that threaten to collapse her entire case. Even worse, Blake's attempt to tie California law to her claims is paper-thin at best. She argues that because Wayfair is a California-based company, and because California lawyers recruited Wallace and paid his invoices, California law should automatically apply to him. On paper, it might sound clever, but Wallace's team cuts through it like a knife, proving that none of this actually ties Wallace himself to California. The media blitz, the statements, the strategy she's accusing him of, all of it happened outside California, and Wallace denies ever participating in any of it. They seal the point with this chilling line. Even assuming the actions of Lively's employer were discriminatory, there are no allegations that the Wallace defendants knew this conduct was discriminatory or acted for the purpose of retaliation or harassment. Without that link, her FEA claim dies instantly, leaving her case gutted and exposed. But this is just one piece of a much bigger problem. Wallace's legal strategy is laying the groundwork for Wayfair and others to obliterate her entire case during their own motions for summary judgment. And when you look closely at Blake's retaliation theory, it's not just weak, it doesn't even make sense. Blake's claim? It's nothing more than speculation and what-if scenarios. And then came the devastating blow. Her own sworn testimony, given under oath, undermines her entire case. In court, Blake admitted she couldn't name a single article, a single statement, or a single piece of content that Wallace himself ever published that harmed her. Not one. Think about that for a moment. She's claiming there was a near-daily media blitz that destroyed her reputation, yet she cannot point to a single example involving Wallace. That admission is fatal to her case. Wallace's legal team summarized it perfectly. Her claims are nothing but defamation in disguise. And since she cannot even identify a defamatory statement made by Wallace, there is nothing left to support her allegations. Even more suspicious, Blake's behavior doesn't match her story. Most people facing harassment try to distance themselves from the accused, seek protection, and create space. Blake, she did the opposite. After allegedly suffering harassment, she demanded more involvement in the film project, pushing for greater creative control, putting herself closer to Justin and the very people she was accusing. This raises disturbing questions. Was this really about harassment, or was it about power and leverage? Was she using these allegations as bargaining chips to gain control of the movie? If this goes to trial, those questions will be front and center for any jury to consider. Wallace's team uses this contradiction to devastating effect, framing her entire case as reputational gamesmanship, not genuine retaliation. As devastating as Blake's retaliation collapse has been, her biggest mistake might be where she chose to file this lawsuit. This entire legal battle is tangled up in a strategy called forum shopping, and it's about to blow up in her face. Forum shopping is when a plaintiff cherry-picks a court to gain a strategic advantage, even if it's not the right jurisdiction. Blake's strategy was clear: file in New York, bypass California's stricter rules, and secretly grab evidence that she couldn't otherwise obtain. In California, subpoenas require advance notice to all parties. In New York, they don't. That's how Blake secretly obtained Jen Abel's phone records, something impossible under California law. Wallace's team exposes this as a calculated manipulation. In their words, Lively's choice to bypass California law and file in New York was purely to avoid the safeguards that would have prevented her from secretly obtaining evidence. And here's the devastating twist. That same tactic is now gutting her case. Even Blake admits that a significant part of the retaliatory scheme was carried out by California-based individuals in California. Yet she's asking a New York court to apply California law while using New York subpoenas to target California people. It's a legal house of cards, and Wallace is about to knock it down completely. His motion to dismiss doesn't just defend him. It provides Wayfair and others a blueprint to launch their own attacks. If they follow his lead, Blake's entire lawsuit could be obliterated in one devastating sweep. Wallace's legal team isn't just playing defense. They're going on the offensive, giving the judge multiple avenues to completely dismantle Blake's case. Their strategy is precise: overwhelm her claims from every angle until there's nothing left standing. Jurisdiction: she filed in the wrong state. Agency: she misrepresented Wallace's connection to California. Retaliation: she never engaged in a protected activity. FEA: California law cannot apply to non-residents for out-of-state conduct. Defamation: exception. Her claim is defamation disguised as retaliation, and she cannot meet the stricter standards. Even Blake's own sworn testimony destroys her credibility, as she admits she can't point to a single action by Wallace that harmed her. The result? Her case isn't just weak, it's collapsing in real time. Wallace's closing argument hits like a hammer. Because her claims against Wallace sound in defamation, she cannot predicate jurisdiction, and her 2-paragraph attempt in a 31-page brief to overcome the defamation exception is hardly a response at all. This final strike isn't just about clearing Wallace's name. It's about obliterating Blake's entire lawsuit, leaving her with no path forward. She may be winning small battles in discovery, but when the judge rules on this motion to dismiss, the entire war could be over in an instant. Blake Lively's lawsuit was supposed to be her fight for justice, but now it's unraveling before her very eyes. Will she find a way to salvage her claims, or will Jed Wallace's precision strategy obliterate her case once and for all? Stay tuned, because the next move in this legal chess match could decide everything. Don't miss the next headline. Like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell.